17 minutes after 7 o'clock, I asked a simple question earlier. Would you lay it all on the line for principle? Your marriage, your career, your retirement. If you were being instructed or requested to do something that you thought was unethical, perhaps even illegal, by a boss, by a superior, how would you respond? There are many of us who would, without thinking, without blinking, say, we would do the right thing. Of course we would. But if you're someone who's nearing retirement, for example, or you are someone without many prospects outside of your organization, how easy would it be to buckle under pressure? I want to remind you of this moment in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, where the National Police Commissioner was questioned and pressed by the chair as to why he effected a decision he himself now says was unlawful.
If the minister were to give you an instruction that strays onto operational or managerial matters, would you, General Masemula, say to the minister, I am not going to obey that?
Yeah, it depends, Commissioner, but yes, I will. It's a matter that is career limited, but
it depends on what?
It depends on how he does it.
It's simple. It's
Yes.
simple. You have said operational and managerial matters are within your remit and not the minister's.
Yes.
So I am saying categorically to you that in what I posit to you, the instruction would be falling outside of the minister's remit and be straying onto operational and managerial matters. It's that clear.
Yeah, no.
Would you, General Masemula, tell the minister, I am not going to obey that?
Yeah, no, I will tell him that I won't do it. But as I said, it depends.
But as I said, it depends. This is the country's top cop being asked by a judge, would he do the right thing? A conversation this morning is around exactly that, and it stems out of a really thoughtful piece in the Sunday Times yesterday by Sthembiso Msomi. I've invited a former Director General at the Public Service and Administration Department, and currently the head of the Public Service Reform Program at the New South Institute. This is, of course, Yoliswa Makhasi. A very good morning to you, and thank you for your time.
Good morning, Bongani.
I don't know if you watched that exchange that I just played there, that you just heard, between the country's top cop being pressed by a judge as to whether or not he, as the country's top cop, as I say, would do the right thing if instructed otherwise by a political principle.
Yes, I did watch it. Thank you very much.
What was your reaction?
Well, firstly, I did put myself in his shoes because I understand it could be tough there, but I was quite shocked that the commissioner chose to implement, even in a phased-in approach, what he thought was an unlawful instruction at the time, because there's quite a few things that he could have done to kind of push back and show the minister, and including in writing, that what you are instructing me is unlawful, and these are the implications in respect to that. So I was kind of shocked in respect to that, but I do respect him. It's a decision that he took at that particular time. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I would choose to do the right thing over that, because even if I don't do the right thing because of the pressure from the minister, one day not doing the right thing will follow me. When these things come out, I would still be required to account, and depending on what is it that I had decided to do, which is unlawful, it may even affect the same pension I am trying to protect and the same career I'm trying to protect by doing the wrong thing.
I'm going to press you and say, is it as easy as that? Because we have seen a number of examples where, say, in your former position as a Director General, your future is very much tied to the minister in office at the time, whilst of course we know there's now legal precedent for ministers to no longer suspend directors general, we also know that their contracts are renewed at the say-so of the minister. And so, whilst you might be able to take all of those steps, inevitably you would know that having not followed the instruction, your time in that position would be limited.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's not easy, and it would never be easy to lead a department. I think even for any CEO, it's not easy, even in the private sector, to lead as a CEO. But and some of the things that would happen is that yes, the minister will be unhappy, and the minister in his or her unhappiness will unleash whatever that is at their disposal to deal with you, to process you, to make sure that your life is uncomfortable, even if you are still on your contract. Sometimes they will even go to the president and ask for you to be removed or ask for you to be suspended. But one of the things I like about the current president is that, at least in my own experience, having experienced something like this differently though, is that the minister must also indicate why, must also show paperwork and some form of to say this DG is misconducting herself and is putting the department in disrepute because of this particular reason.
But
so it doesn't just become rumor and gossip. So it's not easy. And if you think that a head of department role is an easy role, don't even raise your hand for it, because it's not easy.
And that's what I want to talk about, because the seniority of a director general, I mean, what we are describing, where you have to prove that, this official has done something wrong, if you are, for example, the minister, it sounds almost at a very junior level, but the seniority of a director general would imply that it would be under the most extraordinary circumstances that any minister could recommend that the president removes them, and for very obvious and consequential mistakes or breaches of their contract. But it sounds to me that we're treating people who are meant to be really the CEOs of these departments as if they were junior staff.
You are correct on that one. I think that, but I don't want to do a blanket approach to say all ministers,
Of course.
all political
No, of course,
principals
we appreciate
do the same.
that, yeah.
But there are those political principals who really treat professionals as if they are not professionals, as if they are not bringing a technical capability and a technical skill in the system. There's lots of experiences that people can share with you who have been DGs in respect to those issues. This includes the type of interference and type of instructions that from time to time the political principals would give. So if you are unable to push back, as I said earlier on, ultimately it is you who will take responsibility, because you are the accounting officer. You are expected to know certain things, and the how of running the department remains your responsibility, whilst the what of what needs to be done remains the responsibility of the political principal.
All right. Can I ask you, if you wouldn't mind, if you would be so bold, to share some of your experience when you were under pressure in this way?
Well, I mean, I can share an experience, of course, without mentioning any people. I've had a few experiences, and one of those experiences related to an official who had misconducted him or herself in one of the departments I've worked at. And I suspended the official, gave the official charges and everything. In the midst of that, there was change of leadership in the department where I was working, and the minister that came in basically gave me an instruction to bring back the official. And I had to advise the minister that I am not in a position to do that official in writing, because the minister had written me a letter. I had advised that this is an unlawful instruction. The process of disciplining an official is not my process, not the process of the minister. It's with the head of it's now with the chairperson of the disciplinary. It's a compliance matter, and we have to respect that process. The minister cannot intervene. I cannot intervene in the process. So that was one experience that I had, and indeed the minister wrote back to me and instructed and indicated that I'm going to report you to my boss, which is the minister's political principal. And I wrote
the
again
president.
and I said, yes.
So
and
when
I
you
said,
hold on, just to be clear, you pushed back, and this minister said, "If you don't do this, I'll tell the president."
Yes, I had a letter. It was in writing that said, I will escalate the matter to the president. I will report to the president that you are defying me. And I did, again, advise to the minister, should you decide to do so, the same advice I'm sharing with you, I will still share that particular advice with the president. Because this is, in my view, an unlawful instruction. And on top of that, what I did was to ask our legal unit, guided by the Public Service Commission guidelines, to ask our legal unit to look for advice from the state law advisors so that I am able to come back to the minister and say, it's not just my own interpretation or an internal interpretation. This is what the advice is on this particular matter.
And what were the consequences?
Well, the minister didn't push forward, I must say that, but life became difficult for me in the department.
How so?
But I say, no, there were lots of things that happened around some misinformation campaign that happened in the department, and partly led by the union and other officials, some of them senior managers, who I think were just in collusion to get rid of me. But I stayed until the end of my contract, and I left when my contract ended.
Because it certainly wasn't renewed, was it?
No, well, it wasn't renewed, but interestingly, it was not even the same minister. It was another minister at this time because of the high attrition and the political instability that comes with high attrition of political principals. I served under 5 ministers in 5 years in one department.
Goodness me. Appreciate your time and your perspective and you sharing your personal story. Yoliswa Makhasi is a former Director General at the Public Service and Administration Department, currently heads the Public Service Reform Program at the New South Institute. And at the heart of this surely has to be the idea of cadre deployment, because of course many of these political principles would remind officials, you are there because we deployed you, and therefore you will do our bidding. Your first loyalty has to be to the party. That's their thinking, and not the Constitution of the Republic. Many of us say, without blinking, of course we would do the right thing, but would we really?
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.